Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today's topic are loops and conditional statements. Till now what we have discussed are we have completed the operator stuff. We have discussed how many kinds of operators are there, how do you use them, what are the need of them, and how we can implement them while performing our program. So now let's go into conditional statements. Okay, so what do you mean by a conditional statement? So conditional statement means you are driving your statement with some conditions. So what are conditions? So let's say if 5 greater than 0, is this a condition? Yes, this is a condition. So you want some part of code to be executed only if some condition is met. So let's say, for example, if you want if 5 or okay, let me declare a variable int a is equals to 20, and let me say you want to drive the code if a is greater than 10. If a is greater than 10, then you need to print system.out.println yes, it is greater. Otherwise you don't have to print this. Okay, so how do you perform this kind of execution? So if you want to drive your code, or if you want to perform some task only if some condition is met, then you can use the if block. The first option that we have is if block. Okay, so if we use if conditional statement, what happens? It will check if this condition is true or not. If the condition inside this parenthesis is true, if this value returns true, then only it will perform the task that is inside this curly braces. Otherwise it will just neglect this code, or it will just ignore this code. It will just pass to the next line after this complete block. So it will just terminate, or it will just ignore this block, because this condition is not met. You have to not execute this block. So let us have some another example. So like, for example, if you say if a is equals to 0, then only you have to do these 3 lines or 4 lines of code. Otherwise you don't have to do. So if a is equals to 20, will this part of code work? No, because this condition returns us the value false. Okay, and if this condition returns us false, which means we are not going to execute these 4 programs or 4 lines of statements. Correct. So what is the prerequisite for running the if is? The conditions inside the parenthesis must return true, which means we have to give something that returns a boolean values. So you know that all the conditional operators like this, the comparison operators, correct? The comparison operators, the conditional, all of them returns true and false only, correct? So that's the reason why I have used equal to over here, because it will return us true or false value. If I say if a plus b, does this return true or false? No, which means there is a syntax error, correct? So let us just practice this and then we'll proceed further. So let me declare our main method, and now let me declare a variable a. Let me give the value as 67, and if I say if a greater than 0, see the condition, it's up to you. Whatever you value, means whatever you want to provide the condition, it's up to you. So I'll say yes, it is larger, or I can say greater than 0, correct? So if I now execute this, okay, if I now run this, see, we get the output as yes, it is greater than 0, correct? Yes. So now if I make it negative, is it now greater than 0? No, the condition will not return true, it will return false. So that is the reason why we are getting nothing in our console. Am I right? Yes. So how does this works? The JVM searches for the main method. Main method is found, correct? You have to perform the line, or I can see the first instruction inside it. So first instruction says that you have to declare a variable and assign the value to it minus 67. Okay, now I am having a if block. If this condition returns true, then only you have to run this line. Otherwise, or I can say then only you have to run this block. Otherwise, you can skip that, or you must skip that, correct? So it will say, okay, where is a over here, 60 minus 67 greater than 0, this will return false, and if this condition is false, this will get skipped. So I hope if block is clear to all of you till now. Yes, we'll discuss that one as well. So yes, so for example, now what happens, now your question will be, okay, I want another thing as well. So if a is greater than this, you have used the if statement, you are performing system.out.println, yes, it is greater, or some statement that you want to print. Now you want to print that if it is not greater than equals, oh sorry, greater than 0, then you have to print another statement. So you can use else. Okay, so what else does, we'll just get the flow of it, don't worry. All right, so what happens over here, if this condition is true, then this block is going to get executed. If this condition is false, then this is the block that is going to get executed. So let me just write a code for it and then we'll understand this. So else system.out.println, no, it's smaller, correct? So now what happens, let me just dry run this program. So what happens over here, a is declared to 67 minus 67 negative 67. What is our condition that we want to check? Our condition is we have to check whether a is greater than 0 or not. It is not greater than 0, which means this block is not going to get executed. So the block that is going to get executed is this block. Am I right? Yes. So now let me change this a to positive 67. Now can you tell me the output for this? It is easy, right? So what will happen if this condition is met? So this block is going to get executed and this will be get skipped because it is the else condition. If this happens, then well and good, otherwise you have to do this. Okay, so else condition only works if statement doesn't work. All right, yes. So you are asking that at times you have seen that there are no curly brackets. Could you explain once in terms of curly brackets? All right, so now what happens if the statement, if the block, this is your block, if block, and this is your else block. So now what happens over here, if there are only one statement that you want to execute, see over here how many statements I have, only one instruction for my compiler or JVM, correct, to get executed. So if I have only one in else, if, or any loops as well, if I have only one statement, then there is no need of writing the curly braces, it will work fine. Okay, but if there are more than, okay, if there are more than one statements, one instructions, then you need to provide the curly braces. All right, so over here we have only one instruction, so I can just delete this, correct, and now this seems to be correct, and now we get the desired output. But as soon as I add another line over here, system.out.println, yes, and if I okay, we get an error because we need to specify this inside the curly braces. All right, but then too our else block is again having only one condition, so we are not providing it inside the curly braces, because if there is only one statement there is no need, but yes, you can provide the curly braces as well. So it's up to you whether you use it or not. Yes, so this is how you code if and else statements. Am I right? So I hope it is clear to all of you till now. Do you have any doubts? All right, so if and else, if gets executed, else won't get executed. If won't get executed, else is the one that is going to get executed. Am I right? So I hope till now it is clear to every one of you. You want me to give the definition of instruction. Okay, you might see different kind of definition and that might be confusing for you. So I'll just give you a quick shortcut to understand what is a instruction or what is a statement. Wherever you declare a semicolon, which means it is a statement, and each statement is a instruction for your compiler, correct? So over here I see a semicolon, first instruction, a semicolon, second instruction, which means there are more than one instructions, correct? And we have discussed this, so I need to specify it in curly braces. Over here only one semicolon, which means only one statement. I hope it is clear to all of you. All right, so now what we are going to learn is multiple if else, or I can say the else if loop. Okay, so now what happens, let me explain you this and then we'll write some code based on this. So now what your requirement is, you want to check multiple condition. You want to check if a is greater than 20, then you need to print system.out.println greater than 20. Now the next condition you want to give, you want to check other conditions as well. If this condition false, you have to check other condition. You don't want to go directly to the else loop. Okay, so what you can say that, see, in your normal English language, if this happens then fine, else do this, correct? So now if you have multiple requirements, how do you say, if this is the requirement then this, else if this is the condition then you have to do this, else you do this, correct? So over here how many steps? 3. So now let me help you to write this code in Java. Okay, so now if a greater than 20, system.out.println greater than 20, correct? Now another condition that you want to check, if this is not met, all right, I am going to check another condition. So else if you are checking that it is greater than 10 or no. So you are saying that system.out.println greater than 10, and now you say that if none of them works or none of them get satisfied, then you need to perform this task, which comes inside a else block, correct? So now what happens, yes, else if are two different words, we have a space between them. Yes, in some programming language we have elif. Yes, it is not declared as elif in Java. Okay, in Java it is else if. Okay, all right. So now what happens if a, so let me say that a is 40. What happens if a greater than 20? Yes, this condition gets satisfied and these blocks are not executed. Okay, and now if if a is equals to 5, what happens, this condition is not met, it goes to check for the next condition. This condition is met, it returns this, and this and these blocks are not getting executed. So let us explain, means let us learn this in detail. Okay, so let me introduce some more scenarios. So else a less than, or let us take our same example. Sorry. Yes. Mhm. Greater than 10, I'm writing over here greater than 20, moving this line. Yeah. Now you are going to tell me what happens over here. See, the output comes out to be 20 and none of this block gets executed. So now what is the reason behind this? A is 67. Is 67 greater than 20? Definitely yes. Which means this is the block that is going to get executed and these two are not going to get executed. Am I right? Yes. Now let me tell you. Now let me change the value of A. Now let me change it to 10. So now what happens? Is 10 greater than 20? No. This is not going to get executed. Is 10 greater than 10 greater than 10? No. 10 is not greater than 10. So this is again not going to get executed, and the last one that we have is this block that is going to get executed, because I have said that if none of them gets executed, we will get the else block get executed. So let us try this. See, can you see? No, it's all right. Yes. So we get the output as the statement that is written inside the else block. So let me say that over here A is equals to 5. So is 5 greater than 20? No, these blocks not get executed. Is 5 greater than 10? No. Correct. Again this doesn't get executed. So again this is the one that is going to get executed. Yes. So now if I make it 15, what happens? If I make it 15, is 15 greater than 20? No, not this one. Is 15 greater than 10? Yes. So this is the one that is going to get executed, and this is not, this will not get executed. So we'll get greater than 10. So let me run this. See, the output comes out to be greater than 10. Yes. No, not the condition. Suraj, you are asking that if there are only one condition in each if block, then we can skip curly braces. No. We have said that these are the statements that we need to perform. This is the task that we need to execute. Over here I have only one task, correct? I have only one statement to get executed. If I am having one statement only, then I can omit this curly braces. But if I have more than one, then I must give curly braces to them. All right? Yes. I hope till now it's clear to all of you. Okay. So now let me introduce some more. See, it's up to you how many else if block you have. Okay. So let's say if some condition, some task, then else if some condition and the task. Again you can have else if. Okay, it's up to you how many else if you want to give. All right, so there is no limit in else if. Okay, but there will be always one if or one else. Correct? Yes. So I hope it is clear to each one of you. So now let me introduce one more else if. Yes, so what condition we can give is A less than 10. Okay. System.out.println less than 10. Now if I execute the same value, but now if I make it as 5, we get the output as less than 10. Now you know the reason, that 5 greater than 20, no, false. 5 greater than 10, no, false. 5 less than 10, true. This is the block that is going to get executed, and this will not get executed, because else is the one block that will get executed only if all of them are not getting executed, correct? So you know the reason that why else is not getting executed if any one of them gets executed. All right. So yes, so till now it's clear to every one of you. So now your question may be like, can I omit the else block? Definitely yes, it's up to you. If you don't want any else, because the first one that we saw was like just the if block, we didn't have any else block, correct? So we can have if block without else, we can have if and else if without else. Okay, we can have multiple else if as well without else. Okay, so else is not needed. Okay, but now your question will be, can I have else block? The reason to this is no. See, else runs only when if conditions are false, correct? Else runs only when if conditions are false. If there are no condition, when you are supposed to call the else, because for else, how do you say in normal English language? If this condition satisfied, then perform this, else you have to perform this. So where is the condition if you don't have if? Else has no significance, correct? So I hope it is clear to all of you that how it works. Yes, so if you have any doubts, you can ask me now. Okay, so you are asking that A is seated in the memory. How is the condition of a variable being checked in Java? All right. So let me ask you a few questions. Int A is equals to 20. This is the thing that we are doing since day one. Okay. How does it prints value of A, that is 20, in the console? What happens? This 20 gets stored in a memory of size 4 bytes because int is 4 byte, correct? And A is the one who points to this memory address. Am I right? Yes. Whenever you invoke A, so let's say this line, okay, this is declared at line number 5, this is at 50. Okay, so 50th line says that you have to print A. Now compiler don't have any brain, correct? It always goes for the memory. Okay, so it will see what is A. I have to search in the memory, where is A pointing? So A is pointing to this value. What is this value? Okay, 20. I have to grab 20 over here and I have to print 20 inside the console, correct? So the same way it checks it. Okay, so if A is 67 and I am having conditions like this, so what will happen? Declared at line number 5, let's say our if block is 500 line, correct? What will happen? A is pointing to some memory location 67. Okay, so it will check A. Where is A pointing? A is pointing to 67. So it will check, is 67 greater than 20? No. Skip this one, move ahead. So I hope it's clear to you. Yes, so else is dependent on if, correct? It is not dependent on else if. Okay, because whenever you write else, there need to be if, correct? Yes, so I hope it is clear to you till now. But one thing that we are going to learn now is we can have multiple argument, means multiple condition checks. Okay, so if I want to check A greater than 0 but A should be smaller than 10. Okay, so you want both of this condition to be true, correct? You want both of this condition to be true. So what you want to include in between? The and operator. That's the reason why we have completed the operators first. So now you know what is and. If this part and this part returns true, then only we are getting the resultant as true, otherwise we'll get false, correct? So what I can do is I can say and then, correct? So if both of these conditions are true, then only you have to perform this. So condition met. else, correct? What output do we get? Condition met, because a is 5 and is 5 greater than 0? Yes. Is 5 less than 10? Yes. So if both of them returns yes, the answer is yes, which means true. So over here true comes, and if the condition is true, which means this is the block that is going to get executed and this won't get executed. So like this you can have n number of arguments. Okay, so you can have, sorry, not arguments, conditions. Okay, you can have and a is equals to 7 as well. You can have and a not equals to 8 as well. It's up to you what condition you give. See, over here I am having 4 conditions. Okay, so it's up to you how many conditions you want. So this if is independent of how number of conditions, but there must be at least one condition to be there, because if is used for checking a condition, right? So I hope it's clear to everyone. Yes. So do you have any doubts till now? Yes. So now the yes. So now the another statement that we are going to learn is, now another conditional statement that we are going to learn is switch. Okay. Yes. So we'll see how switch is used, what is the use of switch, and we'll see how it differs from if. So let me comment this, and now let me declare a variable first, day 1. First let me write the syntax for switch. Don't worry, I'll just explain the syntax. Case 4, system.out.println, Thursday. Case 5, system.out.println, Friday. Case 6, Saturday. Case 7, system.out.println. Alright, it's Sunday. Alright, yes. Now see, how does switch cases work? Sorry. Yes. So now let me explain how switch works. Yes. So now this is a variable. I have some cases. Okay, I have several number of cases. Let's say over here we have 7 number of cases. If the number is 1, we print Monday. If the number is 3, we print Wednesday. If the number is 5, we print Thursday. If the number is 7, we print, hooray, it's Sunday. Alright. So now how could you have done this using if block? So you would have checked if day is equals to 1, sorry, then system.out.println Monday. Then for next stuff you would have given else if day is equals to 2, print something. So see, this thing becomes very like untidy or unnecessary, because if you have only one condition to check, see, this is how readable, this is quite readable, correct, as compared to else if and if else, correct? Yes. So now how this works, we give our argument over here. So we want to switch, we want to perform this switch operation based on this variable day. So what is the variable day? It is of type int. So I need to give my cases in type int, correct? If it is of type, so let's say it is vice versa, like string days. Okay, so I am giving Monday. So how the switch cases will be for this will be like switch days case, and then the cases will be like Monday, and then you will say some statement or some instruction to follow, correct? So over here it is of type int, so I am saying that okay, take it over here, and the cases are based on the int values. So if the day value, okay, if the day value is equals to 1, that is our first case, then we have to print Monday. If the day value is equals to 2, then we have to print this. If the day value, that is 1, is equals to 3, then we have to print this, and so on, correct? No, I have given this one, it's up to you, you can provide anything. I am just checking the condition, I am just taking an example, okay? So now if I just try and print this out, see what is the output. Now don't worry about this, that why we are getting this kind of output, because we'll see why do we get this output, but I hope it is clear for you till now. So let me give 7 over here. Yes, now the output is Sunday, correct? Now let me give 4. What happens? It's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and the last value, that is Friday, it's Sunday, correct? So now what happens at this moment, if your case is satisfied, okay, and you are not breaking these statements or you are not breaking the instruction, that what happens is it will execute each and every instructions after that, means it will execute all the instructions from that case onwards. So as soon as case 4 is met, it prints Thursday, it prints Friday, it prints Saturday, and it prints the last line, that is Hooray, it's Sunday, correct? So if my day is 2, what will be the output? It will print, okay, first condition not met, the second condition is met, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and so on, correct? So to stop this, because you know only one condition needs to get satisfied and only one instruction need to get performed or executed. So how do you stop this? So you can use a break statement. So it is necessary to always use break statement with your, we'll see how break statement works when we go inside the loops. Don't worry about this. Yes. Now let me run this. Can you see the output? The output comes out to be Thursday, correct? So because our day is 4, so the case 4 is met and the output is Thursday. Okay, so don't worry about this break statement, but now for now you need to memorize this, that break is needed for stopping this current case, because if I don't stop it, it will execute all the statements or all the instructions from this case onwards. All right. Yes. So I hope till now it is clear. Now one thing is there, in switch we can have a default case as well. Okay, so now we'll see what is the use of default case. If nothing gets executed, okay, if none of the case meets, okay, so over here we have day 4, so there is a case that matches the fourth condition. So if I say 40, now if I run this, we get the invalid values. Okay, so yes, so now if I remove this and make it as 3 over here, what will happen? The output is Wednesday and Thursday. Now your question will be, why it is Wednesday and Thursday, why not Friday, Saturday and till the end? Because as soon as it reaches the third statement, it prints this, and as I said, it will print the instruction from this onward, but it reaches to the fourth, it prints Thursday, and the fourth statement forcefully breaks the flow. Okay, so wherever break statement is there, your execution for that particular statement or for that particular block gets terminated. All right. Yes, so break we'll learn more in detail, and we'll just practice some example based on break and continue. Don't worry about this in our next session, I guess. Yes, when we deal with loops. But before that, today's topic is this conditional statement. Like, we are focusing on conditional statement, so we need to just learn how conditional statement works. So now you know how to use switch. You can provide some values over here, cases. So for switch there are cases, there can be a default case as well. It is not necessary, but yes, it's a best practice if you provide this, because if you have some invalid output or some invalid input, then you can handle it. Correct? Yes. So now the next thing that we are going to see, that there are some limitations with case switch. Okay, so what limitations are there? You cannot switch. Okay, over here this is of type int, it is okay, int is okay, bytes, short, char, okay, strings are okay, the enums are as well okay, don't worry about enums. Okay, but now few things that you need to go through, like you need to be aware that we cannot switch on long and floating point. Okay, yes, so we cannot switch on long and floating point values, and the reason for this is, like as I said, the best practice is always stick to int values. Correct? So whenever, if my case is let's say this is of long, okay, so now if I provide long and if I give case as 1, or it is vice versa, okay, so over here long and over here int. So what happens, for long we always need a tailing L, and it is not a best practice to go stick with long. So there won't be such cases where you need long with switch statements, and we'll see why switch are not much often used. Don't worry about this, but for now you have to be aware that floating point are also not accepted by switch. Yes, so for floating point, the reason why floating point are not included in switch is they are not precise. Correct? If I say 3.14, it is not a precise number. There can be other other preceding values as well, like 1.4, sorry, 3.14679 and so on. Correct? So that's the reason why, because switch always needs the precise value. So that's the reason why it works on byte, short, int, and char, string, enums. Okay, don't worry about enums. Yes, so I hope it is clear till now. Now one thing, the comparison. Correct? If versus switch. Yes, so the fact is switch is faster than if else. Okay, switch is faster than if else, but the significance of if else is really high. See, what happens is, in if block you can check n number of conditions. Correct? Condition 1, condition 2, condition 3, and condition 4, condition 5, and so on. But switch is only meant for checking one conditions. So if you have scenarios like this, you have to check only one value and you have multiple cases, then only you can go with switch. Otherwise you cannot go with switch. Okay, so for example, if you want to check only if the value is equals to 0 or not, okay, so if you want to check if day is equals to 0 or not, why to declare a switch? Correct. If you declare a switch like this, you have to give day inside it, cases, then the instruction, and then the break statement. And instead of this, if you have only one check, okay, if you want to check it only once, so you can just directly wrap it inside this, and that's it. Okay, so there is need of switch when there are multiple cases, but the variable or the value that need to be checked is only one. You don't have multiple condition, the condition is same. You need to check whether it is equals to this or not. You need to check whether it is equals to this cases or not. That's it. But if gives us the very wide flexibility. So that's the reason why if else is the one that you will often see in the programming, but then too switch are being used when we have n number of cases and only one condition to be checked. So yes, definitely switch is faster than if else, but then too if else are the one that we are also going to use the most. All right, so I hope it is clear to each one of you. So now you know, do you know the shorthand for if else? All of you do know this. We have done this, the ternary operators. Let me just revise it again. Yes, what are ternary operators? It checks a condition. If the condition is true, it gives this part, it returns this part, or if the condition is false, it returns this part. So if I say int a is equals to 67, and if a greater than 0, then you need to say yes, otherwise you need to say no. So can you see, if condition is met, then this block, else this block. So it is again a shorthand for if else, but yes, it is not much flexible, but then too we need to be aware, like if someone asks you what is the shorthand for if else, you always had to get the idea of ternary operators. See, if statement, you don't need to worry about the real use cases because they are the only one that you are going to use while programming. So you will always get acquainted to this if and else blocks. Correct. So if you want to check whether a value, all right, let me take the, yes, we have missed this. So if I want to check a number n is even or odd, how could you do that? If n modulus 2 is equals to 0, then print system.out.println even, else print odd. Correct. So this is a use case. To check even and odd, we use the if else block. That's it. It is easy. Correct. And as I said, for switch cases, there are not much scenarios like this, but they are being used when you have only one condition to be checked. So I have given you a real-time example. So when you want to print some days, okay, you know that there are 7 days. So there will be 7 if else. Correct. Means else if means 1 if and 6 else if. Correct. So instead of doing this, what I can do is I can use a switch, because I always want to check that whether this variable is equals to 1 or not, 2 or not, 3 or not. Correct. So I can use this. Or let's say months, you know, there are 12 months, which means 12 conditions to be checked. So instead of having 12 else if, you can have the switch cases. Okay, it is not much flexible because it only gives us the functionality of comparing a variable with only one condition, but then in such cases we do use switch. So I hope you have a better understanding that why do we use if else for now, switch, how do we use, how do we implement, which of them are faster, and what are the syntax of them, correct? So I hope till now it is clear to all of you, and do you have any doubts? You can ask me now in the chat box. And in our next session, what we are going to start with is loops. So in loops, we are going to learn for loop, while loop, and the for each loop, which is also known as advanced loop, advanced for loop. Okay, so don't get confused with the name, and this is also known as traditional for loop. Okay, so in our next session we are going to learn about these topics, and we'll just have some basic problems based on this, like factorials and all, and then you can just go in the browser and search for any of such any of the examples or problems based on the loops. You need to practice loops as much as you can, because it is the one of the necessary thing in programming, and also if you are planning to learn DSA after this, then loops are the must. All right. No, you are asking that what is the difference between statement and instructions. Actually, we have used it interchangeably, correct? Means we often call it as a instruction or a statement, correct? When we write this is a statement, but for compiler it is a instruction, correct? So for example, if I say system.out.println, let me write it completely, system.out.println hello, this is a statement for us, and as soon as this statement ends we write a semicolon. But for the JVM to print this is a instruction, correct? Means statement is our instruction that they follows. So this instruction says that you have to print hello inside the console, that's it. So this is one instruction for it, correct? So it is used interchangeably, don't worry about this. Do you have any doubts? Is it clear to everyone? Yes. So in our next session we are going to learn about loops. Okay, so see you all tomorrow at the same time, and hope you all are enjoying the sessions. And if you have any suggestions so that I can improvise, it will be great if you share your reviews and your suggestions as well. So thank you everyone for joining today's session, and we'll catch up tomorrow at the same time.